This is the Commercial Real Estate Insights Podcast. I'm Steve Hamoen, and it is 8:34 a.m. on Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. Here's what we're covering today. Canada's bold new capital gains deferral policy could reshape CRE reinvestment, why Poilievre's proposal might rival the U.S. 1031 exchange, and how these changes unlock new opportunity across multifamily, industrial, redevelopment, and beyond. And in other news, the delayed capital gains hike still looms. How to prepare now? Let's kick off with this. Poilievre's Canada First reinvestment tax cut, set to launch July 1st, 2025, might just be the most significant shakeup in Canadian capital gains taxation in decades. If you're a CRE investor, this isn't just tax code, it's strategy, it's leverage, it's liquidity without liquidation. Now here's what's got people talking. This proposal lets investors defer capital gains taxes when they reinvest proceeds within Canada, not just in real estate, but in any asset. We're talking duplexes, data centers, farmland, stocks, even entire businesses. There's no 45-day identification rule, no 180-day reinvestment requirement. Just one goal: keep your capital moving and keep it here, at home. Poilievre calls it economic rocket fuel. But let's dig into why that matters, especially for CRE. Multifamily and industrial are on watch. Multifamily remains the backbone of Canadian investor portfolios, especially 1 to 4 unit and mid-rise 5+ unit assets. But when you're facing a 50% inclusion rate on gains, it limits mobility. You sit on appreciated property instead of trading up. Poilievre's plan? It gives you mobility back. You could sell that aging triplex in Kitchener-Waterloo and reinvest into a 20-unit walk-up in Guelph or a mixed-use conversion in Cambridge without triggering tax. That's how you move from landlord to portfolio builder, without the CRA tapping your shoulder every time. Then there's industrial. Distribution hubs in Waterloo and Brant County are red hot, and with warehousing vacancy rates tightening across the 401 corridor, unlocking gains from older assets to reallocate into logistics-focused REITs or newer industrial parks could finally make sense. Tax deferred. Imagine selling a single-tenant legacy warehouse and rolling it into flex industrial with e-commerce-ready specs. No taxable event. That's a reinvestor's dream. Let's talk redevelopment, office, and agricultural land. What makes Poilievre's proposal so powerful? No like-kind rule. In the U.S., the 1031 exchange locks you into real estate for real estate. But under this Canadian version, you can pivot. Take brownfield redevelopment. Suppose you unload a suburban office in London with declining tenancy. You could funnel those proceeds into a brownfield site near Waterloo GO station, convert that into multifamily or retail residential mix. Boom. No capital gains tax until you decide to cash out. And agricultural land? This is huge. Southern Ontario's agri-markets, especially around Sarnia and Burlington, are in transition. Whether it's estate planning or farm-to-warehouse conversions, this policy means you don't have to fear a tax hit when repositioning your land equity. It's strategic freedom in sectors that were frozen by static capital. Institutional capital, cross-border players, and repatriation. Here's where this gets even more interesting. Canada just became more competitive than the US on capital gains for the right kind of investor. US investors have long relied on the 1031 exchange to defer tax on like-kind real estate swaps. But it's rigid. Sell your warehouse, buy another warehouse. Miss the 180-day close? Tough luck. With Poilievre's model, Canadian investors win on flexibility. You can move from a hospitality asset in Niagara to medical office in Waterloo to a stake in a local tech fund. Taxes still deferred. And let's talk TFSAs. He's proposed adding an extra $5,000 per year, only for Canadian investments. That's a tax-free kicker to the deferral. While the US has IRAs and 1031s, they've got nothing like this hybrid incentive. We could see institutional players repatriate capital. Those chasing 1031-like benefits south of the border might now bring it back, especially if this deferral becomes permanent after 2026. Final thoughts. This isn't just a tax cut. It's a signal. This policy tells you, if you're building Canadian capital, you'll keep more of it. Whether you're in student housing, medical office, self-storage, strip retail, or senior care, this is about breathing room. About agility. For developers, that means more churn in land assembly. For REITs, that means new capital inflows. For the average investor, it's a shot to trade up, diversify, and actually use your gains without the taxman knocking. That's all for now, but we'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget to hit follow or subscribe and leave a review to help others discover the show. I'm Steve Hamoen. Until next time.